Having Laria Young on our team present about the changes that are coming to the dashboard with this next enhancement that's coming out at the end of this month on June 30th. Laria and the team have been working really hard on making some additional reporting available on the next dashboard. So this will include a data completeness report that Laria is going to go through, as well as trends data on the summary measures. This is in addition to the expansion of data to include Medicaid claims data that'll be taking place June 30th as well. We thought it would be helpful, since these reports, I think, are incredibly useful and provide a lot of really great insights, for Laria to just go through and show you like these new features that you're going to have access to on the 30th, and talk through how you might use them and how they function a bit. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Laria.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I'm going to go ahead and do my screen share. All right. Hopefully everyone can see that all right. So thank you, Jackie, for the introduction. My name is Laria Young. I'm the Human-Centered Design Lead for MCT2D, and I'm really excited about the work we've been doing on Dashboard 2.0. And as Jackie said, a big component of this is the release of the pre-populated reports. So I'm going to talk for a few minutes about these two different reports. Please feel free at any point in time to put questions in the chat or come off mute. We're here not only to showcase these for you, but also answer any questions or concerns you might have. So before I get started, I just want to highlight these reports are part of what we call Dashboard 2.0. We call our original patient dashboard the legacy patient dashboard, and throughout all of these enhancements, you can still access that legacy patient dashboard at any point. And you can see, if you log in through the MDC homepage or through our website, you should be able to see both these options listed as they are here, so that you can log into either one. And you can also access the legacy dashboard at any point in time using the button at the top of the landing page for Dashboard 2.0. The reason we've done this is just because we don't have all the features yet that we had in Legacy Dashboard built into Dashboard 2.0. They are coming soon, but we want to make sure we don't remove any functionality from you while we build out this new dashboard. So let's talk a little bit about these pre-populated reports. We knew this was something that we wanted to include. We wanted to create reports that use our most recent data that answered some of the key questions you might have about type 2 diabetes care, that you could access at any point in time through the dashboard, so that we didn't have to pull and send manual reports for you either. But we didn't know where we should start with these. And so one of the first things we did is we asked you to vote on some of your topics and features that you'd like to see in these at one of our previous PO calls. And you told us pretty overwhelmingly that you were interested in seeing things like HEDIS measure trends and prescribing trends for medications and CGMs, and that you really wanted to be able to compare your PO to the collaborative whenever possible. And so these are things that we've taken direct consideration in when we build out these reports. So we took all that information and we picked two reports to start with. So one being that summary measures trends report that you asked for, that would include both things like the HEDIS related measures, our performance measure, and other prescribing trends and things like that, as well as a data completeness report. And we wanted to include this data completeness report because we wanted to make sure we were being really transparent about how much data and what kind of data we were getting into the dashboard from your organization, so that you understood then what was coming through in other reports like the trends report. And you'll be able to access these from two places on the Dashboard 2.0 landing page. You can click Summary Measures, and that will take you to the Overview page, and you'll be able to access them from there. Or you can click this Pre-populated Reports button, which will go live, and that will take you directly to the reports as well. And this is what this will look like at the top of your page. If you did click Summary Measures, you would be on that overview page, and you'll see these two buttons up here for those two reports. I want to highlight that in the future, we will be switching to a separate landing page, which will house all of these pre-populated reports in one area, because we want to continue expanding this. But because we were starting with just two reports, we wanted to make them available at the highest level possible. And so I just want to highlight that this change will come in the future. So I'll start by talking about the Measure Trends report and what you'll see in this when it goes live. This report in particular is in the final stages of being built out, so there may be some subtle changes between what you see in the screenshots today and what you see at the end of June. Please feel free to let us know at any point in time if you have any additional questions when the reports do go live. So first I want to highlight that all of the reports are going to have this same structure. They'll have that blue bar that you've probably seen before on Dashboard 2.0 that highlights where the data is coming from, includes some other key information about our data, and allows you to select an organization depending on your user level. You will also have this gray bar here on the left-hand side, and we're using that as space to include sort of any really important key pieces of information you might need to interpret the report, and also trying to make the download button really easy to find and to use so that you can download and share these reports without having to dig through Tableau functionality. So the measure trends report is really designed to be a mirror of everything that you see on that summary measures overview, all of those same measures just viewed as trends. Starting with at the top, you'll have your A1C performance measure. Now, most trends on this report are shown going back 3 years. This is the one exception because this goes back just to the start of the measurement period. And we actually just had an enhancement today where you will now have your goal performance line on this visualization as well. One thing about this that's also slightly different from summary measures overview is that instead of having 2 separate visualizations for your commercial versus Medicare population, you'll have this toggle up here that you can switch between to view those independently. And you are also able on all of these visualizations to expand them using an expand button in the upper right-hand corner. And as a PO user, you will be able to see each of your practices individually in this expansion down here, and you can click to isolate them. I will say this is one place where we'll probably have some changes before the end of the month because we have some POs that have large numbers of practices. We want to try to reduce as much visual clutter in this area as possible. And so we're implementing a new selection method. So just keep an eye on that when you log in for the first time. But you will be able to see all of the practices in comparison. And if you are a practice user and you log in, you will see your practice level data as the aggregate rather than PO. If you're a PO user, you'll see that in aggregate here. And then you'd see each of your physicians individually as part of that practice rather than each practice. So scrolling down, you'll next be able to see your A1C, controlled A1C performance for your whole population, not just your locked performance population. And this will maintain the same selection that you choose, whether Medicare or commercial, for that performance population, for the performance visualization. One other thing I'd like to highlight here is that we added these vertical gray bars, which show your patient count in the dashboard for that time period. We felt like this was really important because for some POs, especially going back 3 years, the patient count in the dashboard was really, really small. And so we wanted to be really transparent about how that might impact the percentage that you're seeing in terms of performance. And again, this is another example for blood pressure control of clicking that expand button and what that's going to look like. You can see all the practices here. And again, as of now, you can click to isolate. That's something you can always do in Tableau. And we're working right now to make sure we can reduce some of this visual clutter so it's easier to compare your practices. Scrolling down, you'll also have those monitoring trends. So this is the retinal or eye exams and your A1C testing rates. Again, really similar, showing that trend over the last 3 years. And these will also have a similar expand that will open below them. And then you'll have some of those important prescribing visualizations. So CGM, statin, and then your diabetes medications. And I want to highlight on this that if you do the expand on this visualization, you'll then be able to select a medication to look at your practices in comparison under, in this case, sulfonylurea. So I'm going to pause there for a second and see if there are any questions at all before I move on to the data completeness report. I don't see anything in the chat, but feel free to unmute as well.
Maria, I have a question. This is Mary from North Valley. Hi. I was provided a report, but I'm finding that the actual data isn't syncing with what I'm seeing as far as A1Cs in our lab work. I don't know if there's a delay on these or I was given I know our practice is in the process of changing names. I don't know if it has to do with that. Can you give me some insight on that?
Mary, is this the PO level reporting that we did in April that was sent like kind of one page per each practice on like your A1C rates and the number of patients who have had an A1C since like the start of our performance year? Is that the report you're referring to?
No, it's actually, what is, oh shoot. Oh, open gaps. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield open gaps. I don't know, maybe that
It's
isn't even related, but it's Blue Cross data. But when I look at the A1Cs, I mean, there's a whole very long list of those that need to be under 8, and they
yeah.
mainly, they almost all were.
So that report isn't distributed by us. I think it might come from Blue Cross Blue Shield. I know there's sometimes a lag with claims data, so it's possible that that's the reason why. And because it's a Blue Cross report, I'm assuming it's based on claims, but can't really speak to much more than that since we don't generate that report.
Okay, thank you. I just saw that the one you had did have some of the data was pulled from Blue Cross. So I'm asking the wrong question at the wrong meeting, but thank you.
No problem at all. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Please, if you have that question, probably someone else does as well. So, thank you, Mary. And again, please stop me at any point, continuing on. So I'll talk just for a few minutes about our data completeness report. This is the first one that we decided to develop, and this one is really targeted at displaying what percentage of your patients your PO has reported data for across 5 different measures related to type 2 diabetes. So that's A1C, eGFR, UACR, BMI, and serum creatinine. And the first visualization that you'll see here are these data reporting rates in quartiles. So this shows your PO's data reporting rate and indicates where your PO's average data completeness falls relative to all MCT2D participating PO's average data. And so the way we come up with this is we take the collaborative wide completement rates and divide them into 4 quartiles, each of which represents 25% of the participating practices. And again, this sort of just gives you a benchmark on which quartile you're in compared to the collaborative as a whole. Shows you which quartile you're in for that data refresh and the percentage as well. And again, I'll just highlight in this report, the same structure that you saw with the trends. We'll have that data information bar at the top, and then on the left hand, we'll have more information about how to understand the specific report and that download button. You can also in this report, in this gray box here that you see at the bottom, expand this to see your data reporting trends for the last 2 years. And I'll show you what that looks like. So if you were to hit that expand button, this panel would open up. And this shows you by default the collaborative rate, which is that teal line, your PO rate, which is the navy blue line. And then you're able to select as many of your practices as you would like to compare on these graphs. In this example, that's the gray line. And you can close or open these individually as well if you wanted to, say, download a report that was only showing your A1C reporting rate comparison and not include the rest of these. Scrolling down a little further, we've added this practice data reporting rates comparison table. So this allows you to compare your PO, collaborative, and practice reporting rates at this current time, along with these arrows that indicate whether or not there's been a statistically significant increase or decrease in your data since the last data refresh. So basically, a green arrow indicates an increase of greater than or equal to 1 standard deviation for that data category, and the same but opposite is true for the decrease. And if there's been no significant change in data reporting since the last refresh, you'll see that blue arrow indicating a steady state. So the goal of this table is really to just allow you to see at a really quick glance if you have had any practices that have had a significant increase or decrease in their data reporting. In this example, you can see that several of these practices increased their A1C data reporting, but some that had a decrease in their serum creatinine data. And then lastly, in this report is this graph showing the percentage of patient data reported at a 15-month versus 36-month look back. So this allows you to see how much of that data was collected in sort of that clinically appropriate time frame, that 15 months, and then look further out and see what change there was at that 36-month mark, and then going beyond that and compare. And you are able to, on this, as with other visualizations, click on any of these categories down here, on any of these data categories, and isolate that so that it's a little easier to see and read, because unfortunately in Tableau, we can't control any overlaps in those percentage labels and things like that, but we do want to make this as readable as possible if you do want to download and share this as a report. So I'm going to go ahead and pause there and open it up for any questions. And Jackie, I did just hear that there was a fix on the data completeness report, so I'm just checking to see if I could show a live version of it. It looks like it's not quite ready yet, but I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's feedback at the end of the month when those reports go live.
Well, if no questions, thank you again, Laria, for presenting on that and going over like the different features of the report. We will, as always, have this posted on our YouTube channel so that if you know when these reports are live, you'll be able to go in and kind of refresh your memory on how to use them and some of the different features. But we hope you find this as useful as we do, and hope you kind of figure out what's going on within some of the practices and that data submission. So thanks again, Laria, for going over that, and